Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah. My name is Anthony Stowe. I converted to Islam in March of '06. I'm here to tell, I guess my path to Islam. Um, I guess my path to Islam started when I was born, Found out we're all born Muslim. Like, by definition, we're all born submitters to God's will. So I was born Muslim, but I grew up in a Christian family, so I strayed from the path of Islam early. But Christianity isn't as far away from Islam as many would believe. My Christian background, I would say, growing up in a Christian family, going to church, most of the Sundays out of a month, going to Bible study most of the Wednesdays out of the month, going to Sunday school most of the Sunday mornings out of the month, kind of, made me God conscious, gave me a consciousness that God is here, God is watching me, and I should be serving God. I grew up Protestant, but around high school I went to a Catholic high school. And this was my first encounter with Catholicism, which was really the first time that I ever had to question my belief as a Protestant, because I wasn't sure. I'd never come in contact with anything else. So, upon coming in contact with Catholicism and finding out the differences in, Catholicism and Protestantism, I started to realize what I believed in myself. And what I believed in myself was that God existed. I was 100% that God existed. And I was probably maybe 90% that Jesus existed at the time. But I knew I wasn't sure that Jesus existed the way that I was taught he existed. Because I knew growing up I was taught that, Jesus was he was Christ. He was the Son of God, and all that good stuff. So I'm thinking, that's all there is to it. I get to Catholic school and I realize that some people believe that Christ is more than the Son of God. He's also God. He's 100% man and he's 100% God. I had a very difficult time grappling with that issue. Difficult to the point where by the time I got out of high school, I was willing to put down the Christian title. I stopped referring to myself as Christian. I didn't know what I was. I've always been kind of a free spirit in my life. I do what I want, and if I don't agree with something, I don't do it. So I put down the Christian title and decided, all right, well, I'm nothing. I'm going to do whatever it is I do, and if God has something for me, he'll show it to me. It's a pretty arrogant way to think about it, looking back on it, but alhamdulillah, I'm glad that thought process, is what started the ball rolling to Islam. Now, in this process, I had gotten tattooed. I got a tattoo that said "Unbreakable," which, after the events that happened after the tattoo, led me to see how God must have seen it. It must have been like a challenge to God, because as soon as I got the tattoo that said "Unbreakable," it seemed like life did everything possible to break me. And subhanAllah, I was broken. I went through some horrible times in life. In the course of 2 years, I went from being a pretty happy-go-lucky kid to really depressed, really like suicidal, in a search, just for some sort of meaning or some sort of reason to be here. And that struggle, that test that God put me through for those 2 years, I see that as what woke me back up to religion, what woke me back up to the fact that I need to be actively doing something for God. So I'm going through a horrible time in life. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing for God, but now I know again that I'm supposed to be doing something for God. And I end up here at SUNY Old Westbury. And alhamdulillah, God is so great. He gives you things in the most amazing ways. He gives you things in the most unexpected of ways, to say the least. Because when I first got to SUNY, I was in the dorm room on the basketball team with one of the basketball players. And something completely out of my control happened in another dorm room with another basketball player. and he had to switch dorm rooms. I ended up with his old roommate, and he got my old roommate. Well, alhamdulillah, the new roommate that I got was a homeless guy who loved Allah, who was 100% down with Islam. And from the moment I moved into the room, all he did was talk about Islam, talked about how great Allah was. So me and him, we had debates, discussions, conversations, just searching out the truth in religion, searching out what religion said and what we believed. So maybe 3 months into, maybe 3-4 months into being a roommate of this homeless guy, by all means, nobody that, I hate to say it because this is my brother, I love this guy, but he's nobody that, looking at him, people are, open to listen to right away. But 3 months of talking to this homeless guy, and I'm realizing everything he's telling me about Islam is what I already believed. That God exists, God is one. That Jesus exists, God sent Jesus, he's the Messiah. I had no problem with that. I was like, all right, so God is one, God is whole, and he sent messengers. And the brother also told me about the Prophet Muhammad, God's last messenger. And all of that it was so overwhelming to me to be able to come to something that felt so pure. I couldn't deny it. I had to take my shahada, my testament of faith. Like, I became Muslim pretty much then and there on the spot in the dorm room. And alhamdulillah, I haven't looked back. I don't ever plan on looking back. I pray that Allah increases me in Islam, and I pray that me telling my story about how I got to Islam also may bring another person to Islam, or may increase another believer in Islam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It was wonderful being able to tell my story of my journey to Islam. I pray that this helps you out.